hosting the most tenuous assault against the media complex ever. That's me, Boss Man, in the flesh. Welcome to the show, my friends. I asked, you came through. One viewer took down the email and responded. And today we're talking about their story. Thanks to the man up north, poet, you're the man. If you want to be part of the show and you want to contribute to the show, stand by for instructions. This show exists because of you. America, truckers young and old, I want to captivate your attention today. No special effects, no transition, no fancy legwork, nothing special. Just facts. I've searched long and hard and found. That's what I do. I search for facts, I write creatively, and in that, I make you think. We're going to go down the road of a reality check today. Where's the future of our industry headed? Will it be recognizable? We're going to take a trip down the alternatives lane, if you will. Finally, at the risk of running overtime and possibly going places we've gone before, a story we all need to ponder. Last month, an accident occurred. We're going to talk about the aftermath, and we're going to talk about what can be learned. This is a particular story that, once again, a viewer made me aware of. But in looking at it, I thought, well, what can we learn from this? So sit down, have your coffee, but don't worry, my friend. Your secret's safe with me. We're talking today about safety and the unseen parts of the trucking industry. All coming up.
Shall we begin?
From the trenches of trucking experience and a passionate heavyweight in the Truth in Broadcasting Network. Welcome to Truckin' City News Frontline Podcast, hosted by the most opinionated broadcaster on YouTube, Boss Man.
Once again, coming at you loud and saucy, just like we need to be. By the way, for those that need to know, if you're running your browser in restricted mode, do you know that 90% of my shows don't show up? Just figured that out this week. I don't know why that is. I'm not a bad guy. I don't talk a lot of bad junk. But you know what? Hey, it is what it is. I don't work for Walt Disney. I'm Boss Man. I tell it like it is. So you want to put me in restricted mode? Heck with you. Be over 18. That's all I can tell you. We are broadcasting live from New Truckin City Mobile Studio, located currently in Detroit, Michigan. You're tuned in with YouTube's most opinionated trucker. For those new to the show, I'm Boss Man. I am what they will refer to heretofore as the CIC of the Truth in Broadcasting Network. Welcome to Truckin' Frontlines. This is the show no other can be. We are defending the respect and the honor of the United States of trucking. Just some facts I want you to be aware of. Why let 23.6% of the industry win? What is that number? 23.6% of the industry is what comprises mega carriers, both those that own, run, and work around mega carriers. Why let them win? Why let them set the rules? A staggering 93% of truckers today believe that the media complex, and yes, poet, I'm using a different word. I got your message. The media complex sides with corporate donors and special interests, neglecting the voices of people like you and me. You know what? That needs to change. Consider me numero uno in charge of getting that job done. Finally, think about this. Recent surveys suggested 70% of us feel like the government is too intrusive and in the way of progress. So, folks, let me tell you something. That is why I come to you week after week on this show called Frontlines. It is the sole reason why I run other shows called Truckin' City Journal. I bring up these stories and these issues with the hopes that people like you will get the idea that this is going to be the only podcast where you get to sound off, where you get to have your opinions heard, and you can make a difference. We together can make trucking great again. All you've got to do is take the time, become a subscriber, watch week after week, and let us know what you think. Let us know what captivates your attention, either by calling our studio line at 860-785-3547 or send us an email. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. We will do everything we can, like now, to get your story, investigate the whys and the hows, and move this country forward. Because you know what? Without trucking industry, we don't stand a chance. This show is actually built for truckers by truckers. I've been in it 13 years. I care about the direction this show goes, moreover the industry. Contributions are the backbone. People like Poet, I need more of you. I'm standing at 170 so far. Share the message, spread the word, get others on board. Your voice matters, and this show is a platform where you can do just that, be heard. I'm going to start today off with a little bit of inspiration, because that's something I've kind of gotten used to, and I think you guys have too. Statement recently heard, I'll repeat to you: don't cry because you know it's over. Smile because you know it happened. It's very basic. It's very apropos to a couple of our stories today. Too many people leave situations feeling defeated, as many of them forget the best thing is right in front of them. The realization that you just learned something. Crying is for babies. Smiling is for thrivers. Good health will take you farther than good quotes. So let's get on to the next best thing, and that's gaining wisdom and losing weight. I have updates to say my friends are very close in results. Who will emerge victorious? Let's bring them on and see, shall we? The man with the plan, he swears he's going to beat everybody on the planet. Driving with John. How's it going, buddy?
Not everybody on the planet, just midlife and the grumpy trucker. I mean, I can't beat everybody. There's got to be somebody better than me out there. I'm just saying.
Well, you're running a close competition, neck and neck with the man to my right. And boy, I'll tell you, it's getting saucy here. Who's
midlife? Midlife's right in there too.
Oh, I know. I don't have his information, so I can't really speak for him. But these three guys right here, John, Grumpy, and Midlife, these are the three to follow. If you want to talk about good health and a close competition, to improve your health, this is the plan to watch. Driving with John, Grumpy Old Trucker, Midlife Trucker. We have until August 31st to figure out which of the three are going to lose the most weight. Put in the comments below who you got your bet on. I want to know, who are we rooting for? Is it going to be the funny guy, the grumpy guy? Well, wait a minute. The funny guy, the grumpy guy.
I was gonna say, I'm not grumpy. What the heck?
Not here. Huh?
I mean, you might turn me grumpy. You keep calling me grumpy.
Yeah, right? Hey, weirder things have happened, right? Anyway, so what about you, Frank? Do you think it's difficult, or are you finding it easy? Give me the lowdown.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, it hasn't been easy for me because unlike the other two, I have no way of refrigerating anything. So most of my stuff is not, non-perishable. And so I just basically try to do what I can.
All you can is the best you can. And
That's right.
I totally admire and respect that. Well, look, right off the bat, I'm going to highlight some comments because I've got one important one. We have a fella, Trucking is Dead. Do y'all think trucking is taking a turn for the better financially? And that super chat obviously goes to John. So we thank you for that. I don't know, John, because it's your channel and your contribution. What do you think? Do you think trucking is taking a turn for the better financially, or do you think it's taking a trun for the better?
I actually do think it's taking a turn. I'm a company guy, so I don't see what everybody else sees. But as a company guy, we're picking up more contracts. We're busier than ever. I mean, the other day I could have taken a 17 or a 34 like they normally would have had me do, but I had 7 hours left. So they ran me for that full 7 hours to make sure they took me down to the last second. Yeah. So I still take a 34, but it's because there were so many loads, they didn't have drivers to handle them all. So this is a problem that we haven't had in quite a while. So in my opinion, I do think it's getting better.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I do think that we're taking a slow turn, but we're taking a turn. It will eventually improve. And a lot of that speed by which it does, I think greatly depends on November, but this is not going to be that discussion today. We will get to more comments. I just want to highlight one thing. I'm trying to make slowly but surely positive improvements in the show. Somebody was wondering if we forgot. I heard from a couple of others that thought we forgot about the show. I've got a busy schedule, and to his testimony a minute ago about things getting busier, yes. I'm trying to honor the 11 o'clock time as much as possible, but they ran me late this morning on a delivery. So one of the improvements I'm trying to make is basically setting aside all the time so you guys can call in. So this sound effect here will indicate when you hear it, it's time to call in. So take down that studio line number, 860-785-3547. Once we cover the first story, I will make that sound and we will play that, and you guys can call in, sound off, become part of the show, and we certainly do encourage that. I think that works a lot better, and it involves less introduction and less of us losing train of thought, which I do frequently. So let me see. More quotes, more comments. Good day, poet. No worries. Forgettable? No, I don't think so, my friend. You are not. We're catching up with people. 7C's in the house. 10-pound down. I got John. You've got competition, my friend. 10 pounds.
Wow.
Good for you, sir. Good for you, sir. Donna Deschler. I'm going to say Grumpy Guy is going to win this bet. All right. That's one for Grumpy.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate that.
There you go. September 21st, I predict to be the turn for the better for us in the market. It's official last day for my carrier. Alrighty. I don't know if that's good news or bad. You can tell me later in the comments. I'll certainly highlight that. No, I don't think Trucker's dead. I think Trucker is making it out there. I think I get that. And I think I agree with that. It's all in your mind. It really is. It's all a mindset. I've said that before, and I'll stand firm on that. So yeah, that's for the comments. Look, I'm gonna say myself, I'm rooting for all three. I don't have a dog in this fight, other than just I'm eating more and I'm feeling better. So, um, yeah, there you go. Just like John said, duke them up, duke them up. All right, let me get to the first story today. Just when it comes to how the market's doing, I think that's a perfect segue. All right, diesel engines. Everybody's talking about alternatives, right? I say time is not our enemy. There's a recent report out in Freight Waves talking about alternatives. The Engine Technology Forum, formerly the Diesel Technology Forum, has taken its time, an entire year, to rebrand itself. You might think it's just a word, right? Let me tell you, careful consideration to rebranding for a purpose. People don't relate to diesel anymore. Everybody's stuck on this. We got to do alternatives. We got to get electrification going, right? Let's look at the facts. All right. The ETF, I'll refer to the Engine Technology Forum, just clinging to the past. They're expanding their focus just beyond clean diesel powertrains. They're including natural gas, biofuels, even hydrogen. They realize this electrification thing is going to take a while, and they're acknowledging the reality of this energy transition, but they're not caving into the hype that diesel is done. How often have we heard that? Oh, we'll be done with it in 10 years. And everybody, hell, I even had a guest on last week that said it's coming up quick. And yes, to Fate's point, it is coming up quick, and it will happen a lot quicker than most think. But I don't think you can write off diesel just yet. Think about this. 200 million new internal combustion engines are being made every year in this country. Or not in the country, but just worldwide. 1.3 billion of them power vehicles worldwide, okay? These engines dominate everything from passenger cars to transport freight, and you name it. They're all over. And here's a kicker. Growth rate for these engines could hit as much as 9% annually through the year 2030. So while the Biden administration is throwing billions into this electrification and zero emission stuff, diesel and other fuels aren't going anywhere. The ETF's careful rebranding wasn't about abandoning diesel. It was about embracing a broader perspective. The very same perspective I've said for a while on this show needs to be more widely publicized. All right. So let's think about that, and let's talk about this. I think it's high time more people embrace the idea. Yeah, diesel's on its way, but I think we're looking at a long time. We're not looking at the sudden cease and desist of you can't make diesel engines. How much faith do you guys on the panel have? I'll go to you, John, first, because you got the super chat today, so I'll pick on you today. How much faith do you have in manufacturers actually being able to embrace alternatives like biodiesel, like hydrogen, like other fuels rather than diesel, and such a way that you would be comfortable driving such a contraption?
I don't think we're there yet. I do think it's going to happen eventually, whether we like it or not. That is like whether we like it or not, it is going to happen. But I don't think it's going to happen soon. Like, I don't think they've perfected anything yet. So would I be comfortable? Probably not. I'm not going to lie. Probably not. I kind of like the diesel. I'm not going to candy coat it, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no.
I'm not. Yeah,
No.
I just don't understand why. I understand why they want to do this push, but I don't understand why it's such an emergency right at this moment when we don't have the technology 100% there yet. We shouldn't even be talking about it until we're ready for it yet,
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, people are basically talking about the idea of there being options where we didn't have them before. Now they're actually exploring more options now. It's, biodiesel is being talked about more often. I've seen at least 2 or 3 different stories captivating the headlines with the minor, like Freight Waves, CDL Life, They're talking about it every so often. It just hasn't caught my attention yet, but I've seen them there. So it's being more widely talked about than it ever was. Yeah, the technology's not quite there, but I think it's far easier to convert a combustion engine to handle an alternative fuel more than it is to recreate the wheel, which when you think about it, when you load down, 8,000-9,000 pounds worth of batteries, and explore a redesign of a truck based on heavier weights, one versus the other, I think we can get faster results from the alternatives on a diesel powered power plant, strictly internal combustion. I think we can see those faster. Do you disagree, John?
Who are you asking?
You. I'm continuing your
um,
conversation. Yeah.
I don't know. Again, as much as they want to push it, as much as they want to tell us it's going to happen, you just see it not working. Like that company that went under because one sensor went out, the guy hit a wall, and the company went under. It's like until they figure out all the bugs, it's never going to be mainstream. So,
Right.
and that was for automated, not so much for electric or.
Right.
But still, same point. It's a new technology. Any new technology takes time.
It does. It does. If you guys want to join the panel and be part of the show, I encourage it. Just click on the StreamYard link down below in the description. Join us here on the panel, or you can give us a call once we get done with, hell. You can give us a call anytime you want. Studio lines are open, 860-785-3547. That's the beauty about being a broadcaster. I can make the rules as I go. Frank, what do you think? If somebody actually made, let's say hypothetically, a strictly hydrogen-based fuel cell, put it on your truck and said, drive it until it drops, what would you do?
Well, with hydrogen, I'm for that because that's a renewable resource, so it's good for the environment for sure. And most vehicles that have hydrogen power I've seen do well. But now if they go adding all these stupid sensors on it, that's where things go cuckoo. Because anytime you mess with the electronics on a vehicle of any kind, everything goes wrong.
True that. Well, the same can be said for the diesel engine. I mean, we've got people all over the place making changes to diesel engines. It's easy come, easy go. In the last 6 to 8 years, we've had more and more coding issues with these ECMs because of the emissions crap that's on these things. Hydrogen burns cleaner, so there's probably going to be a lot less sensors and less issues with emissions anyway. I think that's a safe bet, So, the administration wants cleaner burning engines, cleaner fuels. That right there seems like a no-brainer. Same question to you, LJ. If somebody provided you with an answer, such as a hydrogen cell or maybe alternative that doesn't burn like diesel, would you, quote, drive it till it drops, or would you stick with the current power plant you have under the hood?
I'd stick with the power plant I have under the hood.
Yeah.
And
myself,
it's like Big John said, it's gonna change, and hopefully I'm not in this business when it does.
Yeah.
But
liquefied natural gas tanks exploding. Not for me, says Poet. You know what? There is a huge difference between liquefied natural gas on a truck as a source of fuel and something like hydrogen. One is more flammable than the other. Now, they're both pressurized. They're both dangerous. But you know what? If we're going to market, we're going to push zero diesel or zero emissions, why not make it safe? And honestly, when you put together shoddy, crappy equipment, things like California happen routinely. And if we can perfect the art of the diesel engine, I believe manufacturers can and will perfect the art of these alternative fuels. And believe you me, when you see the progress that they're making on the infrastructure with electrification, charging stations, minimizing the size of the batteries just to get an optimal charge and ranges greater than 500 miles. Yeah, we need alternative fuels because electric trucks, they're going to be a while. That's my opinion. Bossman said it first. They're going to be a while. I personally won't trust them. So we need to grab it, and we need to get with the times. I'm going to get one more comment, and I've got a guest who's joining us on StreamYard, so we'll be with him in a minute. Edison Motors says, WCF Invader, CEO mentioned an advantage of fully electric semi-trucks with onboard diesel generators, that they're exempt from fuel taxes. Hybrids with fully electric drivetrain is the future. That was something I was going to put in the conversation, but failed. Good point, my friend. I appreciate that. Let's bring
the problem
on.
with.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say the problem with what he just said is, yeah, they won't have fuel taxes, but they're going to find another way. They're going to tax you for the miles you drove for another reason. They're never going to just let that tax disappear and not get it.
They'll make it saucy and invite. They'll make it saucy and inviting, and they'll certainly make it interesting on the start. But eventually, it's going to even out. Case in point is that delivery tax I covered in a couple of lives ago.
Yep.
Let's welcome to the show a new face in town I've not seen, maybe in the comments, but now we can see him on live camera. TD Jones, you want to introduce yourself, sir? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
TJ Jones.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the show. What? Give us a little background on your experience, sir. I don't know anything about you. Tell the audience.
In 2021, I had about 11 years experience, and then I got out for a little while.
Okay.
Had my own business, tire business, and then I sold it out, and then just been kind of chilling. I got it back into trucking recently, just doing a 4 to 5 day gig. It's for a contracted carrier, a heavy haul reefer, and so but you guys are talking about the new trucks and stuff, and I heard a comment from somebody that if they go to electric trucks, they're going to be so heavy that they would have to restructure all our bridges for the most case. Do you agree with that?
I don't, because I think the bridges are always rated higher than what they list on signs and ratings. So routinely, and you have to get permits currently to do this, routinely overweight loads go over them and there's no structural issues. So
where we are,
the difference I think we're talking about is a gross difference of about 8,000 pounds currently. That's what they're talking about.
Where we are right now,
I don't think it would involve redesign.
I'm actually going to disagree with you. Where we are now, the size of the battery it would take to run a 500 or 600 mile day, I think it would cause issues out there, 100%.
Right.
Am I wrong? By the way, are you TJ? Oh, wrong side. Are you TJ in the woods? Not TJ. Sorry. Bull in the woods? Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. I saw your comment and I posted a link for you. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it.
I mean, okay. I think we're talking about just a difference of less than 10,000 pounds. So you think there's a lot of structurally deficient bridges around that would be affected by a difference like that?
Think about it. Most trucks. Yeah, look how many bridges are falling lately. Most trucks right now run at 80,000 pounds. Are we going to allow 90 then? And at what point does our infrastructure that is already deteriorating going to be able to handle that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
especially Midwest and East Coast infrastructure on the highways and bridges. There, the West Coast is more like where I am at. Is more in tune to it, because our vehicle's 98,000 max that I move with. So, and they can go up as high as 103.5 or 105.5. Not ours, but I've seen trucks with 4 axle fixed trailers or with the tag axle and stuff like that. So, it's definitely a little bit different on this side. So,
so
I think they could handle the battery implemented trucks.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, if we're talking about heavier trucks, I think to the story's point, the alternative fuels would certainly save on the necessity to come up with that kind of solution. Because I mean, yeah, I think there's not much of a weight difference, but I don't think the technology is there to make the battery small enough for weight not to be an issue. So the more we can explore these alternative fuels and the more we can explore the options that give us the options, I think the better off the industry will be. And I think certainly the better off the supply chain will be. Because my thing is, here's my stance, and I've said this, time over time. We're being summoned right now with an ultimatum. Go green or go lean. In other words, go green or get the hell out of the industry. That's the way the government's making it look to right now. My take has always been, we need the options. We need the power to make the decisions, not some corporate elite schmuck who thinks he's going to make a buck on my undoing. Okay.
Right.
It's one thing to sit there and say, you know better than me because you're a Harvard grad or somebody that has a computer science degree. But it's another entirely to be behind the wheel, in the dirt, in the trenches, on the front lines, getting the job done every day. You don't know jack. You don't know what it takes to power up these trucks, maintain these trucks, get the job done, get the load from A to B. So who are you to tell me I have to go green? I don't think so. We need options. That's what I've said since day one. Anybody disagree, you can put it in the comments. We'll fight about it later. But I don't think we should be forced to ever conform. I think we should be given options and given the ability and the knowledge and the strategies to do just that. What do you think, Grumpy? You think I'm onto something?
Well, I agree with you. It should be our choice, not them forcing it. But I was going to say to this because I have worn many hats. I used to test concrete for bridges and overpasses. Now, what TJ was saying about the factor of, believing it would hold the weight and stuff, trust me, once they build a good bridge, it has to go through a lot of standards of testing and stuff to make sure that that bridge is going to hold. Yes, I believe the bridges that are being built nowadays will hold a lot of weight, way more than what we carry. And let me tell you, the worst thing's going to happen are highways, the highways themselves, not the bridges and overpasses, the highways. That's what's going to take the beating because they still haven't perfected that game yet.
Until there's a cargo ship that comes along. But yeah.
Yeah. I used to do the same thing in the days. We used to do I was part of the KCS structural concrete facility. And we when they're pouring, we had to take samples, put them in a cylinder, tap them, put them at 3 levels, put them in a steamed room, and then one is 7 days, one at 28. I can't remember exactly now, but and then you use a certain press and press it, and it had to meet a certain criteria to do those. And we've done temporary bridges where they use this. It was called Super. It made a really strong, heavy strength concrete. You put in the concrete and it dried pretty fast too, but that was pretty neat. We had to do stuff like that. And it gets pretty strict at sometimes, so pretty cool stuff.
Midlife chimes in, says hybrids have the weight of diesel power plants and the batteries. I don't know if he's trying to say it's a lot heavier, but my understanding with an article I read a while back, the amount of batteries it takes to do just an electric truck, not a hybrid, but just an electric truck, can be up to an additional 8,500 pounds. So that's why I gave that estimation earlier. I may be a little off. They may have cinched it down a little bit and changed things. Of course, they're forever changing things, but if you think about that, I mean,
I do believe as battery technology gets better, it will be lighter, it will last longer, but we're just not there. Like you can't force something to exist that doesn't exist.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. Moreover, the technology behind recharging them too. I mean, currently, with regular fuel, you can fuel up in 15 minutes. I mean, there's no way you can charge a bank of batteries that fast. So, keeping a 24-hour team truck, you certainly wouldn't want to be electric.
I look at this as basically kind of like the old payphone. It's slowly going to phase out. So a diesel engine will probably slowly phase out, but it's not going to happen overnight. No.
Yeah. Actually, RGB brings up one point, but I immediately think of two as soon as I read his comment. He said, what about the temperature of the battery during the different season? I will see your comment and I will raise you a comment, my friend. Yes, I'm a poker player. What about the temperature of the batteries constantly being expended and recharged? Expended and recharged. That by itself, I think, can also be a problem. You know, you have to heavily insulate these things and you have to heavily thermally control them. So I did a short one time ago joking about, you know, grab the s'mores, and I took a picture of a truck, electric truck, mind you, that caught on fire. I made a joke out of it, but the more that these people rush through inventing these things and putting them on the road without properly testing them, there you go. Things like RGB just pointed out can be a problem. And that is one of the main reasons why I don't like the idea of electric just quite yet, because of the thermal differences in both the seasons. They'll charge slower, expend faster in the winter, and seriously overheat. And you don't want to overcharge them in the summertime. So, yeah, they need to really think that through. And they need to do a lot of PR in order to convince me it's safe. Sorry, just saying.
I don't know if it's you guys, but it seems like the R&D went completely out the window when it came to this Green New Deal stuff. It's just like they don't test shit. They just, let's throw it out there and see what happens.
Exactly.
What happened to R&D, man?
Years ago, when it comes to creating the diesel power plants, there was some serious R&D. But I agree with you. It's gone out the window. What do you think?
I know.
You've been pretty quiet about this. I mean, do you think we're ever going to get there?
I think it's going to happen, but like everyone's saying, it's not going to be an overnight thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
who's to say that we have to stop at a charging station? I mean, you could always put solar power on the truck.
Well, yeah, but that's only going to do just so much. I mean, those right now currently only charge the accessory batteries. That doesn't really do anything for the main drive batteries. What do you think, John?
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, I don't.
Own generator or power pack
That's
to
actually
keep it charged.
Yeah, that's actually that. Well, are you talking about like dynamic generators like the trains use, or are you talking about something as an auxiliary?
Auxiliary or dynamic, whichever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. You're going to put an all electric vehicle on there like a diesel, or I mean like a semi truck, and expect all these charging stations and shit. Why do you not just build its own power source to keep the battery charged, just like an alternator or some type?
Well,
I don't know if you guys are familiar with hybrids, but hybrids kind of go along with what John said. Hybrids have a braking system that recharges the batteries as you brake. Now, in trucking, if you're long haul, that wouldn't help much because you don't hit your brakes that much. But I'm just saying, with solar and a couple other, a generator that's somehow powered through the turning of your tires, anything like that could charge your batteries. But I just want to put some common sense behind it. If you look at a 1957 Chevy, okay, those cars were honestly, they ran forever. Any of the 50s cars did. The reason why is they were simple. You had a motor, and this is what it did. There was no sensors, no extra stuff. As we complicate things and get more and more advanced, things are lasting shorter and shorter periods of time, because the more complicated it is, the better chance something's going to break. Right. These new trucks you're talking about, same thing. They're going to be more complicated than what we drive now, which means there's going to be more breakdowns.
And more to the point you're making, John, so to the extremes that RGB mentioned, Poet's chiming in on the weight issue. He's talking about up here 144,000 on a B train, and he kind of breaks it down 86.9 tandem. So weight's an issue up there, but he also points out batteries will never do it, because up there, the real cold temperatures, you might think about something like electric and charging down here in the States. But to his point, his credit, you certainly will not do it at all if you're up there, as he says, north of the 60th. Good morning to my wife. Glad you joined the show, my girl. And the animal. Good morning to my friends. Good morning to you as well. I'm glad y'all joined the show. We're talking about alternatives, electrification, but that's only just the beginning. I am moving on to story number 2. This one's created quite a buzz. And this one is the contribution from my friend up north, good old poet, set me wise to an article in, I believe, was CDL Life, talking about a tragic crash that occurred in Indianapolis on the 25th of July. Let me bring up. There we go. And it brought me to talking about the accident, of course, a tragic accident resulting in the death of a 9-year-old child, Ernan Goodrich. Preliminary report of the accident blames the crash on the semi-truck driver's unsafe speed in a construction zone. Also, another factor was following too closely. The driver employed by Forward A2B Inc., a trucking company with a troubled and seriously troubled safety record, lost control and struck multiple vehicles. Others were injured, up to, I think, 5 vehicles damaged. But again, tragically, the life of Ernan Goodrich. The company in question has been cited numerous times for unsafe driving, with violations that include inattentive driving, speeding, and multiple out-of-service infractions. The company's out-of-service rate is alarmingly high, raising questions about the safety culture in the industry. I've had this discussion before, and I've cited several opinions, so I'm not going to be any stranger here. This guy flew under the radar. Moreover, so did the company, Forward A2B. I've seen them. I've seen some of their drivers personally. I question their ethics when I do. Pump the brakes here for a moment, because I'm asking this question. Is the safety record of Forward A2B really the root cause of this disaster? Can we pin it all on the safety record? Or is it a convenient scapegoat to mask a much deeper systematic issue that exists in our industry? Now, I'm not scapegoating this for any particular reason other than to be devil's advocate and point out the obvious truth here. Forward A2B is not the first company to run into this problem. This is not the first time we've heard about this problem. Okay? Safety issues are getting through the radar. Put in the comments if you're as sick of it as I am. I want this industry to improve. No, I don't want more regulations. Hush, midlife, before you pipe up. What I want is common sense. What I want are people that actually proclaim and profess to know the job they have before them. People like the FMCSA, who have the same J.J. Keller handbook we all do. They know the rules. Why aren't they enforcing them? How is it we can get a company like Forward A2B with 26 violations, have a 50% record on inspections, and still have operating authority? Come on, people. Had someone taken these people off the road, or at least remediated their so-called safety culture, that 9-year-old still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe that.
100%.
And there's a lot of companies out there that are flying under the radar, that are making our industry look bad, and they're killing people. When are you going to wake up? It's time to do your job. Yet you sit here and give us the lecture every so often about this new rule, that new rule. You burden us with new regulations. Enforce the ones you got on the books.
Mm-hmm.
You got any idea that? I know I'm pretty pissy about this, but
no, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, 2 things. First of all, I think you're trying to take Grumpy Trucker's job over there. But besides that, no, 100%. See, the problem here is 2 things. It's a 2-sided problem. They don't enforce the regulations they already have. They're supposed to be doing spot checks on carriers, and this guy should have been flagged a while ago. It's just like in regular civilian life. If somebody repeatedly does crime, guess what? He gets flagged a lot whenever something happens in his vicinity. That's just a statistic. It's the way it works. Should work the same for carriers. The other side of this is it should have never made it this far. It's not about making new regulations or new rules. Yeah. Honestly, if you're a professional driver, like I would hope all of us are, yes. Which I'm saying that tongue in cheek, because we know that not everybody is. But if we all were, a lot of this would never happen. You'd pull yourself off the road. You're the captain of your ship. You see a problem, you don't drive that truck. You know what I mean? Or if you're a carrier, you tell your drivers, you know what? You're not going to get in trouble. If you find something wrong, pull it in. We'll take care of it. That solves a lot of problems right there. A lot of guys feel like they have to drive when they shouldn't be.
Yes. I mean, obviously, I stand for one thing: better and more accurate enforcement. It is way too easy as a driver, I can attest to this, to get caught up in the day-to-day and not realize the bigger picture. You know what? I bitch about 23%. I say the majority has us fooled, or the minority rather. You know, but think about it. If 23.6% of the mega carriers, we have a large majority of us, people like us, that have a huge burden on our shoulders. We have the burden of not only protecting ourselves, but our family. So when we make decisions out there, we've got to think for not only ourselves, but them as well. That is why I'm making this push for the United States of trucking. That is why I'm pushing. We need unity. We need people thinking alike. Safety needs to be forefront in everyone's mind. And yes, it starts with you, but it includes the people that enforce these rules. Why should we get people like, why should we get to people like this fella that drove this truck and spun his trailer around and killed a 9-year-old boy? He should have been off the road. Moreover, that company should have been taken off the road, or at least put through a program to improve their safety scores. You know, if once a dog, always a dog. What do you say, TD? Or TJ? Sorry.
I was talking to that's all right. I was talking to the safety corner at the place where I drive with, right? And she said she was at another company as the safety director there for 6 years. And in the 6 years she was there, she was promoted into the job when their safety score is already crap. She did improve it some, but for some reason their hiring expectations, or even though she would push for, no, we need more strict, guidelines for these drivers, they would just almost basically hire anybody. And because of it, she left. And what she also said was, in the 6 years she was there, they only got audited twice. Where the company we're at now, she gets audited every year, but they have a great safety record and they're very strict on their hiring. So that it all goes to what you said. It all has to come down to the government and other places doing their job.
Right. Midlife in a former show said there's a huge difference in numbers, really, because you can have a multi-fleet or a multi-truck carrier. Let's say a guy running 10 trucks. If he's got 5 trucks that stopped and inspected, and out of those 10, the 5 that are inspected, 2 fail, he's got a 20% rate safety score. But you get that same ratio with somebody that has 1,000 trucks, and you get 200, that's a lot of trucks. I don't care. 2, but you see the difference in numbers. The percentage can be there, but the appearance can be so much different. And more to poets, like I've said before, a lot of outfits have the appearance of safety rather than true safety. So, if you run a small fleet and you have a 50% score, as far as I'm concerned, your whole fleet sucks. You've got a lot of work to improve. You should not be anywhere near the national average, which is currently 21.6%.
Can I respond to a comment?
Go ahead, John.
The animal, I think it was directed towards me, but I'm not sure of that, but I'm going to respond to it anyway. He says, why do you throw the whole industry, you knew exactly what comment I was talking about, under the bus due to one company? Now, let's be honest, folks. It's not one company. We see this all the time. Every time there's a major accident, guy doesn't have a license, he's a one-guy carrier, or a trucking company goes under because they're, just basically tearing everything up. It's every day in the news. It's not like throwing the rest of us under the bus. If you're doing the right things, you got nothing to worry about.
Yes.
If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you got nothing. You're not throwing anybody under anywhere. The only time you have to worry is if you're not the one doing the right thing. It may be an opinion you don't like, Animal, but that's my opinion. So
You know what? I agree wholeheartedly. And just in case Animal's opinion was directed toward my take, I'm not throwing the industry under the bus. I am throwing the administrators and officials that throw us under the bus every time there's a
Exactly.
problem. I'm throwing
Yep.
them under the bus. They preach this whole thing about gotta be safe. They put these statistics out there and compel us to be less than the national average. So I ask you in the audience, and I also ask the officials busting our balls all the time, why should a company get to 50%? Why should one driver be allowed to kill someone and there be nothing done? Someone somewhere is being thrown under the bus. It's not this show, but it's definitely people in the audio, in the offices that make these decisions. They're the ones that, to TJ's point, need to be doing more audits, need to be taking more seriously these companies that only list themselves and carry these MC numbers just to get a good load and then take off somewhere. Let's get rid of 90% of the fraud out here. And most of these people won't feel like they have to violate rules, bend rules, and break the law to get an honest living out here. If rules are enforced across the board, a lot of that crap will stop. And a lot of these 9-year-olds will live to see another day.
Right.
Poe goes on to say, a company gets taught how to improve safety score, not likely and not going to cost. More accidents? No, it shouldn't cost the company. It should just be part of the culture. So to that, I agree. Ed, new face in town. Drivers drop broken trailers and you lose out picking up is a reason.
that's a grumpy question right there.
Okay. Grumpy, you want to address that?
Oh, finally. Yes, I'll address that. Yes. A current carrier that I worked for, we have the same issue. We have drivers dropping trailers that don't do good post trips and pre trips, and
Yeah.
I wind up getting them. And I'm sure there's other drivers that do their job properly that wind up getting them, which causes us to get put back. We don't make money. $100 a day breakdown pay is not cutting the mustard. You know, and back to what we was just talking about, I worked for a carrier out of Amarillo. This is how bad the carriers is. They wound up so bad with a CSA score that they weren't even allowed to have a pre-pass at all. That's how bad it was. So, you know, when I found this out, I was like, sayonara, you know.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, what about you, LJ? You've been kind of quiet on here. When it comes to safety, do you think they're missing the ball, or do you think it's just now a cultural problem that's just gotten so bad that there's really no hope? What do you think?
When you have all these fly-by-night carriers popping up, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what they are. They pop up out of nowhere and think they're a major carrier and don't care about anybody else. They hire all these people that's not fit to drive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They give you a key and say, here you go.
Yep. Yep. A lot of times they don't check credentials. I mean, the accident I referred to, I want to say 3 lives ago, the name Mendoza comes to mind. He didn't even have an operator's license. And the dude was behind the wheel. You know, I mean, to your point, LJ. John, you want to address Poet's question?
Poet's question? John,
Poet says, are you familiar with the Humboldt crash?
I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure I've heard of it, but there's so much going on in his head all the time. Trust me, stuff goes out as quick as it comes in sometimes. So
yeah, he sent me a link, I believe. Poet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you sent it to me. I just haven't gotten it out of my email inbox. I pulled your story we're talking about now out of the email box, but I had just so much time to put stuff together. So
I do want to
send it to me, so I'm not sure myself. without
I do want to weigh in on what we're talking about a little bit. Part of it's laziness by the federal agencies, because they are auditing. They don't audit like they should, but they are auditing the bigger carriers that have safety departments and all of that. But a lot of the accidents that we see are people that are one-man carriers that have a revoked license, that have 100,000 red flags, but they didn't see it. You know why? Because they're not looking at them. They're only looking at the people that it's easy. You go in, you look through the paperwork that's all set up for you ahead of time. Go, oh yeah, you passed. They don't want to actually work. That's a problem.
Yeah,
That is,
that's
and that
the
will
point I was making.
I agree.
that will continue being a problem until somebody actually wakes up and does something right. So, I really feel for the family that lost in this accident, because there is never going to be an easy time getting over that. But it should serve as a reminder. We need to do more seriously audits, taking seriously the safety rules that are already in place, and we need to enforce them more equally. That's about the only way I can go. As a carrier, nobody wants several audits. So I don't know why y'all complaining about 2. The more the merrier. Honestly. If you have a propensity for violating rules or having lax safety procedures, I say throw audits at them until they get the idea. Either get it right or get out of here.
Well, like
Take
this
their
is
authority away.
let's make it easy. It's the same thing as like a police officer looking at criminals. Okay, if you see a company that's getting flagged a lot for violations, whether it's just a simple tail light out or whatever, then start paying more attention to them. But if you see a carrier that never gets flagged for anything for long periods of time, maybe you just kind of put them on the back burner until they start, messing up. Like
Exactly.
it's just prioritizing what makes sense. But instead, it seems like almost like they do the reverse of that. They ignore the people that are screwing up, and they pay attention to the ones that are doing it right.
Right. I mean, for example, and to 7C's credit, good point. I appreciate it, but I have to lean on exactly where John just went with this. If you demonstrate without hesitation that you have a safety culture and you have a backup plan for when things go wrong, you should not be audited. You should be left alone. But if you get 26 violations in 2 years, okay, yeah, dude, you need help. I mean, you're obviously ignoring safety. 26 in 2 years? That's incredible. That boy should be audited once a week until he gets
Refresh my memory. How many trucks was that
on? This guy was less than 100, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember the amount of trucks Forward ADB has.
You got to remember. The more trucks they have, the more violations they can get before it even matters. Like look at like a UPS or a FedEx. Like they can get thousands and thousands, and it doesn't even show up as a little bleep on the screen.
That's why I brought up the point Midlife Rose in last week's show about the percentages being screwy. Because if you take a company like Landstar with 10,000, getting 26 in a week is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing, and really it's not a problem because that's 10,000 trucks, and 26, that's a low number. You're way under the national average. But you get somebody with a smaller number, like, for example, if Forward ADB has 100, that's still a lot. That's over the national average. And I think they said they had 50%. So if they had 26, I'm just doing a theoretical math in my head. If they had 26 in 2 years and they were at 50%, then they must have had a lot less than 100 trucks. It must have been a small fleet. So, because that safety record at 50% would say otherwise. So, I mean, more to the point I started making, and I'll go around the panel and you guys can have a last say so here in a minute. The idea that if you have one truck or 100 trucks, the safety mentality should be the same. You should take it seriously and strive every single day, pre-trip, post-trip, hours of service, do it right, be safe, get home, live another day, and make another trip. You shouldn't take it like it's a joke. Okay? Run with no license, run with no logbook. That's a joke. You're not a trucker, you're a wannabe. Go home. Now, more to the companies that do that, you need to be audited. Moreover, if you don't want to be safe, get the hell out of the industry. In fact, the man with the plan is talking to us right now. We have a phone call from the man up north. Good day to you, poet. I thank you for the call.
Not a problem. I'm glad to see a couple of new faces on my screen. TJ, HJ, Highway Junkies.
Yep. We are spicing things up, my friend. We are making it so you guys get a variety and experience all at the same time. So we appreciate the compliment.
There you go. Yeah, peace to you too, John.
There you go.
John, I'm surprised that you are not aware of Humboldt, Saskatchewan crash.
There you go.
Okay.
You want to give us a brief rundown on that one, my friend?
Yep. A company out of Calgary in southern Alberta hired a professional student from India, gave him less than a week's worth of training, put him under a speed train, and there are 144,000 up here, okay, on 2 trailers, and sent him off to Saskatchewan. Now, apparently the story is that he was wondering and looking at a tarp on his back trailer, and totally missed a stop sign that is 8 by 8 feet. With lights around the flash. There was a bus coming southbound carrying a minor league hockey team.
Oh, no.
But 16 people got killed in that, quote, accident, unquote.
Oh, I'm glad you called and told me that. I remember you telling me on the phone, and I remember you sending me the link. I was not going to run my mouth about it because I wasn't sure of the facts the same way you are. But that is tragic, and I understand when you told me about that company had no idea how even how to hire people and be safe. Was it the company's
How do you miss
driver's fault?
How do you miss an 8 by 8 stop sign? 8 feet by 8 feet. That's
deep. Yeah.
I would say that it's both their faults.
Yeah.
One, professional university student should not be behind the wheel after a week's worth of training.
I agree 10 times.
Okay?
10 times. Yeah.
Especially with double the weight of 80,000.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
wow.
The thing is that maybe the company's safety certificate was pulled. Okay, for obvious reasons.
Obviously, yeah.
Yet the next day, the owner of the company was back at the license bureau trying to open up the company under a different number company, yet using the same address.
Yeah.
You know, now the driver, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. I think he served 4, and they are planning to deport him back to India.
He got off lucky.
Well, he married an Indian woman who is a Canadian citizen. He has kids to put here.
Moreover, poet, your story demonstrates the very point I started making at this story's opening. And more people, companies included, need to take more seriously the idea of hiring safe, operating safe, and striving to be safe. Because I don't know about you, but at the end of the day, I want to make it home to mama. So, poet, I thank you for bringing that to our attention and giving us a lesson about Calgary. That was beautiful. I appreciate that.
When I see flip-flop drivers with their feet up on the dash, that does not encourage any sense of safety.
No,
being a part of them.
not at all. Not at all.
Yep.
Poet, I do not mean to be rude to you. You brought me the story. You brought me this. I thank you ever so much. I love the fact that you're contributing to the show and calling in. I've got to get running because I'm hard up on a schedule and running low on time. So, my friend, next time we're on, please call in, give me ideas, stories. I certainly love hearing from you.
Rubber down, drive safe.
God bless you, my friend. Godspeed.
Take
Look,
care,
guys,
poet.
look, guys, when it comes down to it, safety just like that. That is even worse than the 9-year-old dying. But that's, that's here nor there. It's all about safety. We got to take it more seriously. Look, Bull of the Woods dipped out in the process. He decided to become a member. I don't know if that would be your channel, John. Yep.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Smart
I appreciate
choice.
it.
I'm glad you did that. Wait a minute. Midlife mentioned earlier. Why isn't any broker or shipper still using these guys? Good point. I wish the hell I could figure that out. And moreover, answer that question.
Because
It's
they're willing to haul the dollar freight. That's why.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's not their job to.
What good's a dollar
But
freight going to do if it doesn't make it there?
True, but it's not their job to police trucking. I mean, I get what he's saying, and I agree with him. They normally run like checks on them and make sure that they are safe and have good records and all of that. But
again,
honestly,
my man doing the work for me. I thank you, Midlife, for looking that up. 15 trucks forward A to B to out. They had 85 inspections in 24, 45 had violations, and 10 crashes over 2 years. So yeah.
Why weren't they flagged? That's my question. Why aren't they flagged?
Yes.
So
I totally
why are
agree.
they still in business?
Well, yeah, and that's another question. I mean, with this kind of publicity, if I were them, I'd revoke my authority and shut all my trucks down. But that's just me. I mean, I personally would not run a truck company with that kind of record. That is just plainly ridiculous.
Kind of the deal, like with Poet was saying right there towards the end about the factor of them with their feet up there on the window driving down the highway. Well, I happened to go by one just the other day when I was on the phone, I think with Big John, and the fellow was grooming his toenails going down, which was rather interesting. Multitasking, I suppose.
Yeah, rather ridiculous. LJ, any last thoughts? Okay. All right.
I do.
Boy, you make it real easy, don't you? I don't know. How long do you think it'll be, John, before they actually start taking seriously this whole idea and start doing the right thing rather than the crappy job they've been doing?
Honestly, I don't know. I honestly, it's kind of frustrating because I don't think the government will ever understand the damage that they do by not enforcing the rules that they put in place. They just keep making more rules, and whatever rules they like are the ones they enforce, and the ones they don't like, they don't. And it's all willy-nilly and BS. That's my opinion. But I just want to say one more thing, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Your new emblem out there that says the United States of Trucking.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome emblem. And I'd just like to say, I think I'm going to run for president of the United States of Trucking. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And if anybody else has enough balls to run against me,
yeah,
I want to know if they want to speak
Grumpy. Up. Grumpy's going to run. I mean,
you think so?
Just challenge
you can beat me? You think you can beat me in a weight loss challenge and this? Oh, come on.
I'm in. I'm in, buddy.
Oh man.
I
I'm just
smell-
saying.
Run
I
me for
smell a
trucking
debate.
president.
I smell a debate coming up. You two seem to have you two seem to think you can take over my job. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to take over anybody's job, but I mean, a debate against Grumpy. I mean, would that really be that entertaining? Come on. He'd just be whining all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
We're going to have to see what happens here. Who do you think? Close out the show. Before I end the show, put down who you think would win in a debate. And we'll pick this up at another time. And we'll actually put both of them to the test. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't think either one of them can do it. But that's just me talking. I say we make an effort here to talk about these issues, bring you back in, convince you it's worth subscribing and paying attention to the roads. Because you know what? It's the trucks that make the deliveries. But it's people like you that make the difference. Tune in to see who wins and who don't. Next week. Until then, keep it real, keep the faith, and keep it rolling.